Hello, it's your boy, Stars Breme, and today I'll be discussing which country the UFC needs to go to or return to. So let's get into it. So this video has been inspired by UFC Baku. So UFC Baku is a new country which the UFC is going to and they've never been before, which is Azerbaijan, and this inspired the video because it's a new country. Country's random as hell. The UFC needs to go to more places. But I'm happy the UFC are going to a new place. So first of all, I don't know how that got there. Probably got hacked. First of all, UFC Africa. And this obviously has to happen in South Africa. The PFL are going to do a UFC Africa event before the UFC. And that's 1-0 PFL. The UFC have been taking L's recently, and since the UFC are so comfortable because they're already at the top, now PFL are innovating more than the UFC, and their products are going to become better, and don't be surprised if the PFL start catching up to the UFC because the UFC are so lazy. But anyway, let's discuss this. So, obviously, Driga Super C has to headline this, and the UFC could have done this with Hamza Chimaev or Israel Adesanya. It would have been perfect if Israel Adesanya was there, but obviously UFC love to miss opportunities and ruin the sport. So that's a classic UFC thing. And imagine 55,000 fans singing Kosi Siklela Africa. Driga Super C's aura forming will be absolutely insane. It'll be one of the best walkouts in UFC history. And the reason why UFC Africa hasn't happened yet, because apparently the UFC can't make enough money from it yet. But I thought Dana White said that his goal is to go to UFC Africa and his dream. So if it's his dream to go to UFC Africa, why are you worried about how much money you're going to make? I thought it was your dream. Doesn't make any sense. And it has to happen in a stadium. And they know what hates stadiums because he has a low IQ. But a stadium will be able to generate more money than an arena if you want to go to UFC Africa. Because South Africa, people are poor compared to overseas, and the currency isn't very strong. So the way that you'll have to make up that money would have to be selling more tickets at a lower price. So yeah, UFC are just very retarded. So this is why it hasn't happened yet. Then these are fighters who can fight to UFC Africa. Kamaru Usman, Nigerian. Manal Cap from some African country. Israel Adesanya, Nigerian. Temba Guerenbo, Zimbabwean. Cameron Simon, South African. This guy who might be Ngannou's brother. David Anama, who's from Uganda. And Drew Dober. And if you're a big Drew Dober fan and you want Drew Dober to get a win, then this is the perfect card for Drew Dober to get a win in. I'm not going to go into reasons why he would win a fight against these guys, but if you know, you know. Then Georgia. So there's a lot of great fighters from Georgia. There's not many fighters from Georgia in the UFC, but all the fighters from Georgia are very good. Itapore, Marab, Giga, Armin, Guram Kutsaladze is going to have to watch from the stands because he can probably get cut from the UFC. But yeah, many fighters who can fight at UFC Georgia. And it'll be a nice cozy fight night for us European fans where you don't have to wake up at 3 a.m. and stay up until 7 a.m. And they could even do a UFC fight night in Georgia where Marab headlines it. And it could be a fight night and he can defend the belt. I think Marab vs. Sandhagen would be a perfect fight to happen at UFC Georgia. Then UFC Spain. So we've got Ilia Topuria and Joel Alvarez, two Spanish fighters. And there aren't many fighters from Spain, so you can just stack it with European fighters if they ever do an event. But Ilia Topuria headlining a Spain card just will be absolute legacy for him. Especially if it's in the Bernabeu. That will be one of the biggest accomplishments in UFC history if they get a fight in the Bernabeu. And either it could be Ilia Topuria versus Islam Makhachev in there, or Ilia Topuria versus Paddy Pimblett if Paddy Pimblett climbs in the ranks and deserves a title shot. Both those fights, I think, would be able to sell out this arena. Those are the two closest things to be able to sell out this arena. Because Paddy Pimblett also brings in football fans, and Ilya Taporia can also bring in football fans. And the goal of having an event in the Bernabeu would be to convert the football fans into UFC fans. When I was younger, I was a massive soccer fan. That's what we call it in South Africa, soccer. I understand how big the football fan base is. So if you can convert football fans into UFC fans, they'll make the sport grow exponentially. And the UFC need to target the European market more. And this is a perfect way of doing it. For example, if Ilya Taporia and Paddy Pimblett fight, the atmosphere will be absolutely electric, because you can get English and Scouse fans chanting Liverpool football chants, and then you get like the Ilya Taporia fans, like who are from Spain and stuff, chanting like Spanish chants. And then obviously we've learned through UFC London and stuff that the Europeans have the best energy, and that energy will create great events. So the UFC need to target Europe more, and so retard that they don't. Then Russia. So there's a lot of Russian UFC fighters, and no one cares about Russia versus Ukraine anymore, man. That was like 5 years ago. But yeah, they definitely need a return. Russia has just so many fighters. Look at this list. There's not even like... There's probably way more I just haven't put there. It's like you can just easily stack a Russia card. It'll be so easy. And Russian fighters are the best fighters in the world, and they're always so technical and stuff. So a Russia card would be absolute banger. Then Japan. The Japanese fans, they need fights, not just anime. The anime is making the Japanese children and people like soy and stuff like that. Like, they need to like get UFC in there just to like boost their testosterone up a bit, and this is the perfect way. You can do Ka Asakura vs Manal Cap 3, because Manal Cap fought in Ryzen and he's familiar with the Japanese fans. So I don't know if something happens in the flyweight title picture, then you can do this fight. And Asakura vs Joshua Van. I mean, not Asakura, Tatsuro Tara. Tatsuro Tara, I mean, Joshua Van is Southeast Asian or something like that. So you can do Asian versus Asian. And they're both flyweight prospects, and it'll just be a great fight. But I think Joshua Van will beat Tara's ass badly, though, not gonna lie. Then Ireland. So if the UFC signed Paul Hughes, then it's easily justifiable to do an Ireland event. I watched Paul Hughes walk out to his last song, where the PFL actually put effort into their production and their walkouts for their fighters. They had singers and chants and stuff of the Irish fans singing while Paul Hughes was walking out. And yeah, Paul Hughes has enough pull in Ireland, from what I saw at the PFL event, to headline his own event in Ireland. And you can add Ian Gary there. Maybe you can do Buck vs. Cuck as a co-main, and even maybe have Conor McGregor fight Chandler for a retirement fight. So the UFC went there last when I think McGregor fought some guy long ago. So I think the UFC is the time for them to return. And then finally, Poland. The UFC have some good Polish fighters. Jan Blachowicz, Gamrot. And Jan Blachowicz should have a retirement fight in Poland, in my opinion. And we can either do some Eastern European like main events, like Jan versus Yuri or Jan versus Rakic, like as a Eastern European fight night. That'd be absolute banger as well. And yeah, that's it. It's your boy Sasbury, May. I'm out.